G'day guys. Today I'm doing, I actually had a play. This was just me playing, and I decided that I would create wow factor, but with minimal material. I wanted to show you a couple of different things that I'd like to say I have in my repertoire that I like drawing from quite often, to be honest. Okay, so what I decided to do was pull out, I chose a colour. Could have gone with pinks because my dog's wearing a pink jacket. But I ended up going with purples, mainly because I love the colour Villainous Potion and I wanted to use that. So I ran with purples. Now, all I'm doing here with the washi tape, I'm using it as a mask. It's not staying there. Obviously, it looks ridiculous the way it is. So this is sped up big time. So do not think that this went down in 5 seconds flat. It didn't. It took me a little bit to get it, all the inks to blend and all the rest of it. I have sped this video up considerably, and that is because, as you know, if you've been around and you've seen any of my videos, I leave all the working in there so you guys know exactly what it takes to put together one of my pages. I speed them up, but I leave in mistakes, the whole 9 yards. This one does actually have a mistake on it, and it does come together in the end. So now, what am I doing? All I'm trying to do here is create 3 sort of different shades of purple. So I wanted to go with a really dark, a sort of in between, and then a more pinky purple to be behind my photo. That's where I was going. Now, something you have to remember when you're using distress oxides, distress inks, any of them, you will lift the ink back off with your fingers. So all I've done there is I've put a post-it note upside down and it's sticky under my fingers so I can move it around easily. And it keeps my fingers from removing the ink off the page. Now, it doesn't really stick to the paper, but anyway, that's just a little trick that I do. I saw it on somebody's video once. It's not even, actually, it was Natasha Foote from New Zealand. It was actually her. I saw quite often, I find when I watch videos now, I actually watch for a completely different reason on YouTube. What I actually do, okay, so there I just used my misting spray and I gave a very light mist and I put down my paper towel. Now my paper towel, I buy specifically this one because it's got a wave in it. And when I put it down over the inks, it lifts it off and leaves a nice impression or a negative, however you want to word it. So what I was saying is when I watch YouTube videos now, I actually watch them for a slightly different reason. I quite often watch card making videos and I find them, believe it or not, I find it relaxing. Not so much to learn techniques or anything, just more because I find it quite relaxing. I do not make cards, never have no, I am useless at making cards. I'll tell you that straight up front. I can make a scrapbook layout, not a problem. I can make a mini album, not a problem. But when it comes to making a 4x6 card, hopeless, absolutely hopeless. I just can't do it. But anyway, so what I decided to do, so now I've done that. I've lifted off the washi tape, right? I heat set the ink so that it was completely dry. Now what I'm doing is I'm going around and I'm creating some texture. So I've grabbed a different washi tape out of my stash. And now these washi tapes that I'm using, they aren't old ones. So they have new stick to them and they don't, you know, when you're using an old washi tape, for example, or an old tape of an electrical tape, duct tape, you know how it sticks to itself really bad and when you go to lift it off, it's too sticky? Well, these washi tapes that I'm using for this particular process, so the purple one and this silver one, I'm using those because they peel off and they don't, for the most part, they do not rip the paper. There was 2 tiny spots, and it wasn't the washi tape's fault. It was because I'd missed with the paper towel to lift the water back off when I misted the page. So it was rookie error, my fault. I did it. It wasn't actually the washi tape. So that was just my daughter's hand coming in there, doing a little cameo. Okay, so she loves doing that. She absolutely loves it. She gets her 5 seconds of YouTube. It's pretty funny. Cracks me up. So all I'm doing is I'm using, so the stencil I'm using is actually a darkroom door stencil, and it's called Dots. It's only a small one. I think it's a 4x6, something like that. And I only bought it recently, so it's possibly still available if you go to the Darkroom Door website. They are an Australian company, I do believe. Correct me if I'm wrong below, but I think they're an Australian company. So I know they have super quick delivery as well. So, okay, so all I'm doing is going around with just white texture paste. Sorry about that. So I'm going around with white texture paste, and I'm only doing it on the wider washi tape pieces, if that makes sense. So to do this, I can tell you it takes a little bit to sort of get it to sit just right. See, there you go, bang, there's one. You can see where I ripped it, but it's okay. Fixed it, no problem. Now, if you look closely at the page, you can see that I did do that, but it's no big deal. I'm not too stressed. So I go around the entire thing and I add I'm using the Montmartre modeling paste, and it's smooth, there's no grit to it, and it gives me a consistent, smooth finish every single time. Geez, man, it is pouring rain today. Here in Queensland, sunny Queensland, ha ha ha. I think we should drop the sunny out of Queensland because, mate, it rains more lately than it does not. It's starting to feel like I live in Melbourne. Okay, so this is me just drying off the texture paste so I don't destroy the circles. I do have OCD. I am medicated for my OCD, which is a little bit funny, but so what I'm doing here is I've made sure that my dots aren't going to get squashed so that it keeps the perfect circles, because when I do something like that, that's what I like to do. So I'm just sort of masking off because there's no point. I wanted to do some hand stitching, and there's no point in hand stitching all the way through where you're not going to see. I don't mind doing that if it's a bit of paint or a bit of ink or whatever. That doesn't faze me, but let's be honest, hand stitching is a bit of a labor of love. I actually really like doing it, and I was doing this whilst watching Bathurst on Sunday in the middle of October. So I quite honestly, I really enjoyed it, but some people don't like hand stitching. Some people, I do it the cheats way. I don't tie knots and all that sort of stuff. I literally, as I put the thread through, I put washi tape on it and keep going. That's how I do it. And it's so much quicker and it's awesome. I don't video me doing all of that because, one, I was sitting in front of the TV. I wasn't in my craft room. But two, watching someone hand stitch is a little boring. If you want to see me hand stitch, I actually have a video coming up after this one, and I did in fact record my hand stitching. So this is my giant tub of thread, and this is my little snap-lock bag, and it's got all my needles and my I have these needles, and they're designed to not have to, it doesn't have an eye in it, so it actually and you're supposed to be, I think they're called no thread needles. I think that's what they're called. And I got to tell you, it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating, because the thing that bugs me with them is they actually separate at the point, the pointy end where the needle is normally sharp. For some reason, they separate there. It drives me crackers, but that's okay. So I started off doing this with a metallic thread, and I split it into two. So it was 3 threads on each one. If anyone has any advice they can give me for metallic thread, I love metallic thread. I've bought heaps of the stuff, but it untwines. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I'm sure I'm doing it right, but yeah, push comes to shove, it separates. So I don't make you sit through all this, and I do change my mind from the metallic thread to a normal embroidery cotton, and I end up actually undoing this one, and I re-sewed it. So see how I just put the washi tape, and that's it. That's what I do. So there you go. Look at that. That was quick, wasn't it? So I'm just finishing this one off while videoing. Sorry, I needed a drink. Okay. So nearly finished. Nearly finished. The rain has stopped. Must have heard me complaining. So what am I doing here? Okay. So something else I wanted to bring to your attention whilst I go through this quite busy. So you can see there the texture. I do slow it down for you at the very end and do a zoom in for you. Now, what I'm doing here with my little pipette, this is, you know how I mentioned OCD at the beginning? This is OCD. Splatters. I have issues with splatters. However, what I wanted to create on here was actual spots. I wanted to be able to remove the ink off and create a negative dot, but I wanted it to be symmetrical. I know, I overthink my pages. I know I do. I can't help it, but it's just who I am. So what I do is I get a little bit of water in my pipette. You can pick these up at the $2 shop. That's where I got mine from. I think you get like 10 or 15 or something for like $2. They're not expensive at all. And I just draw up a bit of water and I just drop individual drops. So instead of being splatters that are just all over the place, I did do a fine mist at the beginning, but I wanted to actually create more of a negative. So I wanted to lift the ink up. And because the Distress Oxides are water soluble, water reactive, you're able to do this. So as you can see there, see I'm just putting blobs down, and I'm using my, I will be honest, tissues or really good quality paper towel that absorbs quickly works the best. So with all of this ink and everything that I'm doing, I haven't actually, I need to let you know, I didn't use gesso or anything on this page. So I'm very mindful not to use too much water, but as you can see, I'm just absorbing it up with the corner of the, I think I'm using a tissue at this point. No, still paper towel. Yep. So see how it's created actual circles, not just, and they're exactly where I want them to be. They're not just flick it and where it lands, it lands. I know I'm crazy, but it's just the way I like doing it. It's just me. You do you. If you don't, it's just another way of getting spots on your page. You could do that the opposite way as well. So I've created a negative space. You can do it the other way as well. And did I mention the rain stopped? Guess what? It's back. Jeez Louise. Okay. All right. So, what was I going to mention? I was going to mention something else with you guys. Okay, I'll start off with the colours that I used. Distress Oxides, that's what I used. And there was Villainous Potion, Wilted Violet, and Seedless Preserves in the centre. So see how you can only see just a tiny little bit of the Seedless Preserves? That's what I wanted, because you can't really see that it's... Because her jacket, Lexi's jacket is pink. It kind of makes it seem like it's pink behind her, but it's not. It's purple. So here I am. Now here's the mistake. Well, I shouldn't call it a mistake, but I was thinking in my head, you've spent so long on this page, you just want to get it done. So I reached for my thickers, and these ones are... What are these ones? Paige Evans Happy Life, they are. So that's what these are. Now there is absolutely nothing wrong, and I even used art glitter glue on these. And I looked at it, and you could see me testing it there. Still, I didn't realize the size was so out of whack. It's like, hang on a minute, that looks ridiculous. It's too small. It's way too small. And then I realized you better make a decision and make it quick. So I quickly ripped them off. Now, of course, I've already used, I've used art glitter glue behind them. So of course it's reacted with the ink and left a mark. Don't worry, I fix it. So I jumped in. I jumped on my CRICUT. CRICUT Design Space is where I jumped. I jumped on my computer into CRICUT Design Space. Jeez Louise, get my words together this afternoon. So I did that, created a title, cut it out. I left the computer sitting there so you can see that it doesn't really take very long. It takes about, for me to cut out a title, in all honesty, including an offset, it takes me, time-wise, it's about probably 3 minutes, maybe 4, and that's it. So I'm using the same purples, and I'm using the Seedless Preserves in the center and the Wilted Violet either side, because where it's going to sort of be sitting, even though it'll be over the white offset, it's going to be more over the Villainous Potion. So that way it'll all stand out and it'll all hold its own. So as I always do, I don't waste my cardstock. So I always cut these things out in the more in the center. So when I create another page and I need a white border, I can use the leftovers, so it's never wasted. So don't ever think that I waste my cardstock by doing that. Now I'm just going through and adding my letters to my offset. My offset in this case was 1.11. I made it slightly bigger than I normally do, and the font is just the CRICUT Sans. That's all it is. So, yeah, so I did that. Now, if you've stuck through my jibber jabber to this point and you're liking what you see, this is me. This is what I do. This is how I do it. And feel free to leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you like what you see. I post 6 videos a week at a minimum. Sometimes I do extras, and sometimes today actually was the first time I did a little live video unboxing sort of thing on Facebook, on our Facebook group, which is linked in the description. If you click on that, you can jump over on our Facebook group and see I take a lot of photos, a lot of still photos of my layouts, so that that you can, as I say, I'm a visual learner, so I like to see things up close so I can sort of pull it apart myself, and that's what I do. So Also, on this particular one, so I'm raising up the title. It's a little bit fiddly to raise a title up, but I will be honest, these strips that I buy, I actually had a look the other day because I had to order some more. I do order them on eBay, and all I put into the description is foam strips, 3mm and 5mm, and it comes up. They do come from China, I believe, and they do take a good 6 weeks, I'm gonna say, to get here. So never leave it to the last minute and then quickly order some, because it doesn't work like that. It's not the speediest shipment. But today I did use the 3D foam squares that I bought from its scrapbook adhesives, and I bought these ones from Crazy Craft Obsessions, and honestly, mate, these are good. These are really good. They're little squares, so you get a small square and a large square in the particular pack that I bought. You can buy white, you can buy black, there's all sorts, and it's absolutely, these things are the bomb.com. They're really easy to work with. So they're not strips though, they're just little squares. So as I'm moving forward, I'm putting down my title, and then I do come in with, I decided that the negative space circles that I had put on there was kind of, it didn't, see me tapping my fingers, and I went to go with the gold and then changed my mind, and I thought maybe if I just run around the outside, or sorry, just the very inside. So I'm not doing it on the actual ink, I'm doing it on the negative bit that I created. And I'm just highlighting the circles, and that seems to give it the pop that it needed. I was going to introduce gold, but I didn't want to introduce another colour. I wanted it to literally be purple and white. And sometimes I get a bee in my bonnet and I do that, but anyway. So if there's anything you would like to see me do, let me know down below. If there's a particular topic you would like me to scrapbook, I am having a giveaway, and I am altering the day that I'm going to do the hop, because there's been a little bit of, it wasn't a last minute thought for me. I've had it in my head for ages that I want to give a giveaway back to my subscribers, because subscribers, followers, whoever, whatever you want, like, I wanted to give back, and there's been a conflicting date, so I'm just going to review that, but I will get the information to you guys ASAP. I know it's going to be in the first week of November, but the hop itself, I think I'm going to change the day from the 1st of November, because Christy's Beautiful Life is doing another hop, so it's going to clash a little bit. And she's way bigger than me, so you know, little old me wants to get out there a little bit. So here's the close-up, guys. If you have not already liked and subscribed, I would love to have you on board. I have added a little bit of glossy accents in the center of those white circles just to add some shine. We all know I need a little bit of shine. So other than the foil behind the photo in the matting, everything else on here was matte finish. So see all the texture it created, the texture with the sewing, the texture with the stencil. It's literally, to rub your hand across this page is awesome. It feels so good. I love having lots of texture, touchable texture. So thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, hit the like button, leave me a comment below, let me know where you're from, and I will chat to you soon. And don't forget to head over to our Facebook group. Thanks guys, chat soon, bye.